So Dana White just dropped some news on us, and look, I'll be honest, I was bracing myself for a Zhang Weili co-main event announcement, but it never came. It really is Christmas morning. We've got, Nick Diaz versus Vicente Luque. I don't really know how to feel about that. I really don't know. Vicente Luque, it seems like something's wrong with the guy. I don't know exactly what, but he just kind of broke in the Joaquin Buckley fight. He just randomly pulled guard, covered up, and then let himself get pounded. I mean, really badly until the referee stopped the fight. I mean, he just broke. I don't know what's wrong with him, but something happened to him there, and he just didn't want to fight anymore. And then you got Nick Diaz, who, just didn't look very good in his last fight. He just clearly was not in shape when he fought Robbie Lawler. He was not ready for that fight in the slightest. And he actually alluded to the fact that he kind of got pushed into the fight, potentially for financial reasons. I mean, it's tough to say, but he clearly was just not physically there. But, based on the stuff he's been putting out on social media recently, he does seem to be in a lot better shape. Though the tough thing with the Nick Diaz fight is, the UFC, look, they don't care about weed anymore, but they still don't allow you to fight high, and that is just such a detriment to Nick Diaz. I mean, dude, he fucking hit a Gogo Plata blazed out of his mind. He is at his best when he is stoned, and as long as the UFC doesn't allow him to do that, this is going to be a tough fight for him because, Vicente Luque's problems seem to be mental rather than physical. I mean, physically, he seems all right. I don't know. He literally just broke against Buckley. So I get just a lot of question marks with this fight. A lot of question marks. Of course, you're probably going to have to pick Vicente Luque to win. But, who knows? Who knows? Maybe Nick Diaz can come back. He can, have the cardio, have the pace to really put it on him. And maybe Luque will break again. That is what we are all hoping for. But there's a lot of question marks with this fight for sure. But for the co-main event, we have Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. First off, great matchmaking. I think these guys will match up together very, very well because, we know Alexandre Pantoja just tries to bulldoze you. He just walks at you face first, is able to tank some absolute bombs, and he just tries to run through you. And what makes that style so dangerous is that nobody is as good as Pantoja is at scrambling on the ground, at taking your back, throwing that body triangle in. If you were grappling with Pantoja, you are most likely in trouble. And then on the flip side, you got Kai, who is solid everywhere, first off, but he is the definition of stand and bang. I think all around, he will be the slightly cleaner striker than Pantoja, but he doesn't use a ton of head movement. There's not a ton of distance management. He is very willing to eat shots just to land a couple on you. And for the most part, he does have a very strong chin, but there have been moments, specifically in the Manuel Cape fight, where he has gotten hit very clean right on the chin, which, of course, it's human anatomy. You get hit that clean, you are going to get rocked, and he did get finished. Now, I don't think somebody like Pantoja is going to be nearly as accurate as somebody like Cape, but at the end of the day, where I think Kai does have advantages, it's going to be in a cleaner, more traditional kickboxing sense. But the way he likes to stand in the pocket, I don't think that is just going to represent his game well in a matchup against Pantoja because, we have seen moments where Kai has been taken down and out-grappled. He got taken down with a single leg, got his guard past a mount, gave up his back, and again, as we stand right now, nobody in the world in the flyweight division is better than Pantoja in this area. But still, I think specifically Kai throws this knee up the middle, and it is so devastating. I've never seen somebody throw it to negate pressure the way he does. If you're walking at him, you gotta be careful of that knee right up the middle. He has finished quite a few guys with it, and I think, Pantoja needs to be very, very weary of that attack. But again, I think this is a very good fight. I think these guys are going to be standing in the pocket throwing, but unfortunately, I just think the advantages that Kai has, he most likely is not going to use based on pretty much every other fight he's ever had, period. Again, though, what makes a fight like this interesting is the fact that both of these guys want to rely on their chins, and whenever that happens, you never know who's going to get hurt by a shot they just don't see coming. So, look, honestly, anything can happen, but I think you got to pick Pantoja for this fight. But now, moving on to the main event, Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Belal Muhammad. Okay, this one is so fucking fascinating because you've got a guy with a 100% finish rate fighting the best decision fighter probably in the history of decision fighters. I mean, it is so fucking hard to beat Belal by decision, and Shavkat Rakhmonov has never ever seen a decision. Now, when you look at this matchup, I think there are two things that are very, very clear. That being, this fight is most likely going to take place on the feet. Shavkat Rakhmonov, and it's kind of a shame because one of the best aspects of his game is his top pressure. When he gets you down, he gives you zero space to operate. His top pressure is a serious fucking problem. His submissions are very good, but again, he comes from a bit of a sambo background, which means, his grappling style on the feet is based on judo, based on clinching, based on throws and trips. And the problem is, though, you lose the gi jacket and you're essentially relying on Greco-Roman wrestling, which in a sport like MMA is just a lot harder to pull off. It is much more difficult to impose those kind of takedowns on your opponent than, a traditional shot. For example, it was not easy for Shavkat to take down Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Now, look, Wonderboy does have very good takedown defense, but if you're not shooting singles, if you're not shooting double legs, it's difficult. You have to rely on clinch takedowns, and you look at Belal Muhammad, who is a phenomenal wrestler. He's jacked out of his mind. He has gone through puberty twice in his adult life. And again, for the millionth time, I am not hating when I say that. I just think that is, a factor you have to look at. I mean, come on. We got a grown man on the left, and then we have an even more grown man on the right. That is just a factor of this fight. Shavkat's not going to be able to take down Belal. I mean, I just don't think that's super likely. Now, though, can Belal take down Shavkat? I don't think that is super likely either. I think it's probably more likely than Shavkat taking him down, but again, it's going to come down to the fact that Belal needs to time very good takedowns. That is what it comes down to. If he just shoots a shot out in the open with no setup against Shavkat, it's not going to work. The way he was able to do that against Leon was walking him down, getting in his face, smothering him, making Leon cover up, which just opened up the takedown all day. But, I do think, whereas Leon Edwards is going to be the cleaner kickboxer, I think Shavkat in range, in the pocket, is a lot more dangerous than Leon is. I mean, you go back to the Geoff Neal fight. Geoff Neal, I would say, is the more skillful boxer than Belal. He sure as hell hits a lot harder, and Shavkat stood in the pocket, 8 bombs, and was extremely dangerous, landing super short shots very accurately, and he had Geoff hurt quite a few times. And I think Belal trying to fight Shavkat the exact same way he fought Leon, I don't think that works. I think Shavkat is way too dangerous in the pocket, but again, Belal is working with Team Khabib, and the one thing we have seen from Team Khabib is they come up with some rock-solid game plans. That is undeniable. But regardless of a game plan, you have to work with the skills of your fighter. So, I mean, what does Belal bring to the table? Of course, he's got very high-level wrestling. He seems, obviously, extremely physically strong, shoots good, traditional double legs. His boxing in range is not bad. He's not the most powerful. He's not the fastest, but he himself is extremely durable. It's hard to negate his pressure. It's hard to get him off of you. But again, Shavkat is not going to be on the outside trying to move like Sean Brady did, for example. You try to walk Shavkat down, I think he's going to happily stand in the pocket with you and want to trade. And I don't know if that's a good idea for Belal. Belal, though, does have a very good left body and a left high kick. But again, I think Shavkat, at range, I think he has very good kicks himself. In the pocket, I think that's a good spot for Shavkat as well. I think Belal's game plan should be to try to wrestle. Try to land some shots upstairs because Shavkat doesn't have the best head movement, and try to chain your takedowns with your punches. Because all Belal needs is one opportunity to get his hands locked on a double leg, and he will take Shavkat down, and that is where Belal's game, and in my opinion, really opens up, because you're going to have to turtle to stand back up, but but Belal is so good at staying behind you and constantly threatening the back takes. That is what Belal did that Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman desperately needed against Leon. They were able to take Leon down a number of times. Problem is, though, Leon just turtled and stood back up every single time. They had no back take threat, but that was the big game changer for Belal. The second Leon would turtle, Belal would do an amazing job grabbing a body lock, staying behind him, getting his hooks in, and as soon as that body triangle gets locked in, that is pretty much the round. It is so difficult to escape a body lock, and if Belal can do that just a couple times, all of a sudden he is winning rounds against Shavkat. But again, this is a very scary matchup for, honestly, all parties involved. But again, the only person at risk of getting finished here is Belal. And if he's in the pocket trying to land shots against Shavkat, he is at risk of getting hit with very clean, accurate, short punches, just like he did to Joff Neal. And you know what? Again, as far as early predictions go, I think there's still a lot to analyze, a lot of specifics to look at, but I might be leaning towards Shavkat.